You are standing at a crossroads right now, whether you know it or not. Your life is being shaped by forces far greater than you can see with your physical eyes, and there are signs all around you that something magnificent is trying to get your attention. Most people walk through life asleep, never recognizing that they are being guided, being led, being called toward their highest purpose. But you are different. The very fact that you are here right now tells me that something within you is awakening to a truth that has always been there, waiting for you to notice it. There is an intelligence in this universe that knows exactly what you need, exactly when you need it, and exactly how to bring it to you. Some call it God, some call it the universe, some call it source energy or higher power. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that you begin to recognize the signs that this intelligence is actively working in your life right now, at this very moment. You are not alone. You have never been alone. And the sooner you recognize this, the sooner your entire life will transform in ways you cannot yet comprehend. Let me share something with you that changed everything for me. When you begin to pay attention, when you become aware and conscious of what is happening around you and within you, you start to notice patterns. You start to see that what you once called coincidence is actually something far more meaningful. You start to understand that your life is not a series of random events, but rather a beautifully orchestrated symphony where every note, every pause, every crescendo is part of a larger composition that is being played just for you. The first sign that you are being guided is when you start to notice synchronicities in your life. Now, what are synchronicities? They are those moments when things line up in such a perfect way that you cannot help but feel that something bigger is at work. You think of someone you haven't spoken to in years, and within hours, they call you. You need an answer to a problem that has been plaguing you, and you randomly open a book to the exact page that contains the wisdom you need. You feel drawn to take a different route to work, and later you find out that your usual route was blocked by an accident. These are not accidents. These are not coincidences. These are the universe speaking to you, showing you that you are connected to something far greater than your individual self. When you start paying attention to these synchronicities, something remarkable happens. They start to occur more frequently. It's as if the universe says, finally you are paying attention, let me show you more. And suddenly your life becomes filled with these magical moments where everything seems to fall into place at exactly the right time. This is not magic in the supernatural sense. This is you aligning with the natural flow of life, with the intelligence that governs all things. But here is what most people do. They notice these synchronicities, they feel that little tingle of excitement, that sense of wonder, and then their rational mind steps in and says, that was just a coincidence, don't be silly, don't get carried away. And in that moment, they shut down the very channel through which guidance is trying to reach them. They close the door that was beginning to open. Don't make that mistake. When you notice these synchronicities, acknowledge them, say thank you, recognize them as the signs they are. The more you acknowledge them, the more they will appear, and the more you will feel connected to the source of all guidance. The second sign that you are being guided is when you experience a sense of inner knowing. This is different from thinking. This is different from analyzing or figuring things out with your mind. This is a feeling that comes from somewhere beyond your rational thinking, a certainty that exists in your gut, in your heart, in your very bones. You just know something, even though you cannot explain how you know it or why you know it. You might call it intuition. You might call it a gut feeling. But whatever you call it, it is real, and it is one of the most powerful forms of guidance you will ever receive. Here is the problem, though. We live in a society that has taught us to trust only what we can see, measure, prove, and rationalize. We have been trained to discount our feelings, to ignore our intuition, to suppress that inner voice that speaks to us in whispers. We have been told that if we cannot explain something logically, then it must not be valid. And so we override our inner knowing with our thinking, and we make decisions based on what makes sense to our mind rather than what feels right in our soul. And then we wonder why we end up in situations that leave us feeling empty, unfulfilled, and lost. When you feel that inner knowing, that pull toward something or away from something, pay attention. Your rational mind might not understand it. Other people might not understand it. You might not even understand it yourself. But that does not make it any less real or any less important. That inner knowing is the voice of the divine, speaking directly to you, guiding you toward what is meant for you and away from what is not. The more you trust it, the stronger it becomes. The more you follow it, the more clearly you will hear it. And as you develop this trust in your inner knowing, you will find that you make better decisions. You attract better opportunities, and your life begins to flow with an ease that once seemed impossible. The third sign that you are being guided is when obstacles that once seemed insurmountable suddenly dissolve or transform. You have been struggling with something for weeks, months, maybe even years. You have been pushing and forcing and trying to make something happen through sheer willpower, and then suddenly, without any logical explanation, the situation shifts. The person who was blocking you suddenly changes their mind. The opportunity you needed suddenly appears. The solution you could not find suddenly becomes obvious. This is guidance in action. But here is what you need to understand. Sometimes the guidance comes in the form of doors opening, and sometimes it comes in the form of doors closing. Both are equally important. When a door closes, when an opportunity falls through, when something you wanted does not work out, your first reaction might be disappointment or frustration. You might feel like you are being punished or that the universe is against you. But what if I told you that every closed door is actually protection? What if every rejection is actually redirection? What if every obstacle is actually the universe saying, not this way, I have something better for you? The universe is always guiding you toward your highest good, but your highest good might not look like what you think it should look like. Your ego might want one thing, but your soul knows what you truly need. And so when doors close, instead of fighting against it, instead of feeling victimized by it, try asking yourself, what is this protecting me from? Where is this redirecting me? Because I promise you, when you look back on your life, you will see that some of the best things that ever happened to you were the things that didn't happen. You will see that you were being guided even when you thought you were being rejected. The fourth sign that you are being guided is when you feel an unexplainable sense of peace in the midst of chaos. Life throws challenges at all of us. There is no escaping that. We all face difficulties, losses, disappointments, and pain. But there are moments, even in the darkest times, when you feel a sense of calm that does not make logical sense given your circumstances. You feel held, you feel supported, you feel like somehow, some way, everything is going to be okay, even though you cannot see how. This is not denial, this is not positive thinking gone wild. This is a spiritual truth that your soul recognizes, even when your mind does not understand it. This peace that passes understanding, as the ancient texts call it, is evidence that you are connected to something greater than your temporary circumstances. It is proof that there is a part of you that knows you are more than your problems, more than your pain, more than your present situation. This peace is the feeling of divine presence, and when you feel it, even for a moment, you are experiencing direct guidance. You are being reminded that you are not alone, that you are being carried, that you are being led through the darkness toward the light. The key is to not dismiss this peace when it comes. So often we feel that moment of calm, and then we immediately start thinking again, worrying again, analyzing again, and we talk ourselves out of the peace we were just given. We think we need to be constantly vigilant, constantly concerned, constantly figuring things out. But what if the peace itself is the guidance? What if the message is simply relax, trust, I've got this? When you feel that peace, sink into it. Let it fill you. Let it remind you that there is a benevolent force at work in your life that is far more powerful than any challenge you face. The fifth sign that you are being guided is when people appear in your life at exactly the right moment with exactly what you need. Have you ever noticed how someone will show up with a word of encouragement just when you are ready to give up? How a stranger will offer help just when you need it most? How a friend will call just when you are feeling most alone? These are not random occurrences. These people are being used as instruments of guidance, as messengers delivering exactly what you need to hear or experience at exactly the right time. But here is what is even more beautiful. Not only are you receiving guidance through other people, but you are also being used to guide others. When you feel prompted to reach out to someone, to offer a kind word, to help in some way, that is not random either. That is the universe working through you to deliver guidance to someone else. We are all connected in this invisible web of energy and consciousness, and we are constantly being used to help each other, to guide each other, to remind each other of who we really are and what we are really capable of. So pay attention to the people who come into your life. Every person is there for a reason. Some are there for a season, some are there for a reason, and some are there for a lifetime. But all of them are there as part of your guidance system. Even the difficult people, even the ones who challenge you or frustrate you, they are there to teach you something, to help you grow, to push you toward becoming more of who you are meant to be. When you start seeing every person as a teacher, every interaction as a lesson, every relationship as an opportunity for growth, you begin to see the divine guidance in absolutely everything. The sixth sign that you are being guided is when you feel called towards something that does not make logical sense but makes perfect sense to your soul. This is one of the most powerful forms of guidance, and it is also one of the most frequently ignored. You feel drawn to make a change in your life. You feel pulled toward a new career, a new location, a new way of being, but when you look at it logically, it seems crazy, it seems impractical, it seems risky, and so you talk yourself out of it. You listen to the voices of others who tell you to be realistic, to play it safe, to not rock the boat. And in doing so, you ignore the very guidance that is trying to lead you to your purpose. Here is a truth that might be hard to hear. Your purpose will rarely make sense to anyone else. It might not even make sense to you at first. But that does not make it any less real or any less important. Your purpose is not something you figure out with your mind. It is something you feel with your soul. It is that thing that lights you up, that makes you come alive, that fills you with a sense of meaning and fulfillment, even if it does not come with a big paycheck or impressive title. When you feel that call, that pull, that sense that you are meant to do something or be something or go somewhere, pay attention. That is guidance speaking to you in the clearest way possible. Now, I am not saying you should be reckless. I am not saying you should quit your job tomorrow and jump off a cliff without a parachute. But I am saying that you should take that feeling seriously, explore it, investigate it, take small steps in that direction and see what unfolds. Because when you start moving in the direction of your soul's calling, the universe will meet you halfway. Opportunities will appear. Resources will show up. People will come into your life to help you. Doors will open that you did not even know existed. But none of that can happen if you never take the first step. None of that can happen if you stay stuck in what is safe and comfortable and logical. The seventh sign that you are being guided is when you experience a series of challenges that, looking back, you can see were preparing you for something greater. In the moment, these challenges feel like setbacks. They feel like punishment. They feel like evidence that life is unfair and that nothing ever works out for you. But when you get to the other side, when you look back with the perspective that only time can give, you see that every challenge was actually strengthening you, shaping you, preparing you for what was coming next. Think about the difficult times in your own life. Think about the losses, the failures, the disappointments, the pain. Now look at who you are today. Look at the strength you developed. Look at the wisdom you gained. Look at the compassion you now have for others who are going through similar struggles. Would you have developed those qualities without the challenges? Probably not. The challenges were not there to break you. They were there to break you open, to crack through the shell of who you thought you were so that you could become who you are truly meant to be. This is one of the most profound forms of guidance, but it is also one of the hardest to recognize because it requires us to trust that there is a purpose in our pain. It requires us to believe that we are being guided even when everything feels like it is falling apart. It requires faith. And faith is not about being certain. Faith is about trusting even when you cannot see the whole picture, even when you do not understand why things are happening the way they are happening. Faith is about saying, I don't know why this is happening, but I trust that there is a reason. I trust that I am being guided. I trust that something good will come from this. The eighth and final sign that you are being guided is when you feel a sense of gratitude for no apparent reason. You wake up one morning and you just feel thankful. Not because anything particularly wonderful happened, not because you got what you wanted, but simply because you feel blessed to be alive. This spontaneous gratitude is one of the clearest indicators that you are aligned with divine guidance, because gratitude is the natural state of a soul that recognizes its connection to the source of all good. When you feel grateful, you are in harmony with the flow of life. You are acknowledging that you have been given much, that you are supported, that you are loved. And in that state of gratitude, you become a magnet for more blessings, more guidance, more miracles. Gratitude is not just something you do, it is something you become. It is a way of being that transforms everything. When you are grateful, you see the world differently. You notice the beauty that was always there, but that you were too busy or too stressed to see. You recognize the abundance that surrounds you, even if your bank account does not reflect the number you want it to be. You feel rich in the ways that truly matter. So how do you cultivate this gratitude? You start where you are. You look around at your life right now with all its imperfections and challenges, and you find something to be thankful for. Maybe it is your health. Maybe it is a person who loves you. Maybe it is a roof over your head or food on your table. Maybe it is simply the fact that you have another day to try again, to grow, to become more of who you are meant to be. You start there and you build from there. Every day, you look for things to be grateful for. And as you do, you will notice that your list gets longer and longer because gratitude has a way of multiplying. The more you notice what you have, the more you have to notice. Now, let me bring all of this together for you. These 8 signs, these indicators that you are being guided, they are not separate things. They are all connected. They are all part of the same divine intelligence that is working in your life every single day. When you start recognizing these signs, when you start paying attention to the synchronicities, trusting your inner knowing, accepting the opening and closing of doors, feeling the peace and chaos, noticing the people who show up, following your soul's calling, finding the purpose in your challenges, and experiencing spontaneous gratitude, your entire life begins to shift. You move from feeling like a victim of circumstance to recognizing yourself as a co-creator with the universe. You move from anxiety and fear to trust and faith. You move from feeling alone and unsupported to feeling held and guided every step of the way. This is not a small shift. This is a complete transformation in how you experience life. And the most beautiful part is that it does not require you to change your external circumstances. It simply requires you to change your awareness, to open your eyes to what has always been there. But I want to be clear about something. Recognizing these signs does not mean that your life will suddenly become perfect or that you will never face challenges again. That is not what guidance is about. Guidance is not about making your life easy. It is about making your life meaningful. It is about helping you become who you are meant to be. And sometimes, becoming who you are meant to be requires you to go through difficult experiences that stretch you and challenge you and force you to grow in ways you never would have grown if everything had been easy. So when the challenges come, and they will come, do not interpret that as a lack of guidance. Do not think that you have done something wrong or that you are no longer connected to Source. Instead, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How is this helping me grow? Where is this guiding me? Because I promise you, there is always a gift in every challenge, even if you cannot see it in the moment. There is always guidance, even in the darkest valleys. And here is something else I want you to understand. You do not have to wait until you have it all figured out to start living as if you are being guided. You do not have to wait until you see all 8 signs clearly before you start trusting. You can start right now, right where you are, with whatever level of awareness you currently have. You can start by simply being open to the possibility that there is more going on than what meets the eye. You can start by paying a little more attention to the synchronicities in your life. You can start by listening to your inner knowing, even if it is just a whisper right now. You can start by looking for the lessons in your challenges instead of just complaining about them. You can start by expressing gratitude for something, anything, every single day. As you do these things, as you practice recognizing the guidance that is already present in your life, something miraculous will happen. The guidance will become clearer. The signs will become more obvious. Your intuition will become stronger. Your faith will deepen. And little by little, step by step, you will find yourself living a completely different life. Not because your external circumstances have necessarily changed dramatically, though they might, but because your internal experience has transformed. You will go from feeling lost to feeling guided, from feeling alone to feeling connected, from feeling anxious to feeling at peace. This is available to you right now, not someday when you are more spiritual or more enlightened or more deserving, right now. Because you are already spiritual. You are already connected to Source. You are already deserving of all the guidance and support the universe has to offer. The only question is whether you will open yourself to receive it. Will you pay attention to the signs? Will you trust what you feel? Will you follow where you are being led, even when the path is not clear? Let me share something with you that I have learned through my own experience and through working with thousands of people over the years. The universe is always conspiring in your favor, always. Even when it does not look like it, even when everything seems to be going wrong, even when you feel like you are being tested beyond your limits. There is a benevolent intelligence that knows what you need, and it is working tirelessly to bring you the experiences, the people, the lessons, and the opportunities that will help you evolve into your highest self. But here's the thing. This guidance cannot force itself upon you. It can only work with you, not for you. It needs your participation. It needs your willingness to see, to trust, to act. Think of it like this. The universe is like a loving parent who wants the best for you, but who also respects your free will. This parent will put opportunities in front of you, will send signs and signals, will try to steer you in the right direction. But ultimately, you have to choose to follow the guidance. You have to choose to walk through the doors that open. You have to choose to trust when things are uncertain. You have to choose to keep going when things get hard. And this choosing, this conscious participation in your own guidance, this is where your power lies. You are not a puppet being controlled by some external force. You are a powerful creator working in partnership with the divine intelligence of the universe. And the more consciously you engage with this partnership, the more magical your life becomes. You start to see that you can trust yourself because you are never truly alone in making decisions. You have access to infinite wisdom and guidance if you will only quiet your mind enough to hear it and trust your heart enough to follow it. So what do you do when you feel confused? What do you do when you cannot see the signs clearly? What do you do when your inner knowing seems silent? You get still. You get quiet. You create space for guidance to come through. Because here is what happens. Most of us are so busy, so distracted, so caught up in the noise of life that we cannot hear the guidance even when it is trying to get through to us. We are constantly stimulated, constantly consuming information, constantly doing. And in all that busyness, the still small voice of guidance gets drowned out. This is why practices like meditation, time in nature, journaling, and simply sitting in silence are so valuable. They create space for you to hear what is trying to come through. They allow you to tune into a different frequency, one where the guidance is always broadcasting, but that you cannot pick up when your mind is full of chatter. You do not have to be perfect at these practices. You do not have to meditate for an hour every day or retreat to a mountain cave. Even 5 minutes of quiet time, of asking for guidance and then listening, can make a profound difference. And when you ask for guidance, be specific. Do not just say, "Give me a sign," tell the universe what you need help with. Ask for clarity on a specific decision. Ask for strength to get through a specific challenge. Ask for the right people to come into your life to help you with a specific goal. The more specific you are, the more specific the guidance can be. And then after you ask, pay attention, watch for the signs, notice what shows up, trust what you feel, follow what you are guided to do. One more thing I want to address is this idea that guidance only comes in the form of positive feelings or pleasant experiences. This is a misconception that causes a lot of people to miss the guidance that is right in front of them. Sometimes guidance feels uncomfortable. Sometimes it comes in the form of a push out of your comfort zone. Sometimes it shows up as a person who challenges you or a situation that forces you to face something you have been avoiding. Just because something does not feel good does not mean it is not guidance. In fact, some of the most important guidance you will ever receive will come wrapped in discomfort. It will come as that nagging feeling that you need to have a difficult conversation. It will come as that realization that you need to let go of something or someone who is no longer serving your growth. It will come as that awareness that you have been playing small and it is time to step up. These forms of guidance require courage to follow, but they are just as important, if not more important, than the comfortable forms of guidance. So do not make the mistake of only listening to the guidance that tells you what you want to hear. Be willing to hear the hard truths. Be willing to be stretched. Be willing to grow. Because that is what guidance is ultimately about. It is about helping you become the fullest expression of who you are capable of being. And that process of becoming is not always comfortable, but it is always worth it. As we come toward the end of our time together, I want to leave you with this. You are so much more powerful, so much more loved, so much more supported than you have been led to believe. You have been conditioned by society, by your upbringing, by your past experiences to see yourself as small, limited, and alone. But none of that is true. You are a magnificent being connected to the infinite intelligence of the universe. You have access to guidance, wisdom, and support beyond anything you can imagine with your rational mind. The 8 signs I have shared with you today are just the beginning. They are doorways into a way of living that is aligned with your highest purpose and your deepest truth. When you start recognizing these signs, when you start trusting the guidance that is always available to you, your life will transform, not someday, not when everything is perfect, but right now, one moment at a time, one choice at a time, one act of trust at a time. You do not need to see the entire path. You just need to see the next step. You do not need to know all the answers. You just need to be willing to ask the questions and remain open to receiving the answers in whatever form they come. You do not need to have perfect faith. You just need to have enough faith to try, to move forward, to trust, even when you are scared. And here is what I know with absolute certainty. When you do this, when you start living as if you are being guided because you are being guided, life will surprise you in the most beautiful ways. Opportunities will appear that you could never have planned for or predicted. People will show up who change everything. Solutions will present themselves that you could never have thought of on your own. Doors will open that lead to places you did not even know existed. And through it all, you will feel held, supported, loved, and guided by a force that has been with you all along, just waiting for you to notice. So I invite you, right now in this moment, to make a decision. Decide that you are going to start paying attention to the signs. Decide that you are going to trust your inner knowing. Decide that you are going to follow where you are being led, even when the path is unclear. Decide that you are going to see every person, every challenge, every experience as part of your guidance. Decide that you are going to live with gratitude, with awareness, with trust. Make that decision right now and watch what happens. Watch how your life begins to shift. Watch how you begin to feel different. Watch how the universe begins to respond to your new level of awareness and trust. You are being guided. You have always been guided. You will always be guided. The only question is whether you will recognize it, trust it, and follow it. And I believe you will, because you would not be here reading these words, feeling these feelings, having these realizations if you were not ready. Something in you is waking up. Something in you is remembering the truth of who you are. Something in you is ready to step into a new way of being. Honor that, trust that, follow that, and know that as you do, you are not alone. You are supported every step of the way by a loving universe that knows exactly where you are going and exactly what you need to get there. Your life is not random. Your experiences are not meaningless. Your pain has purpose. Your joy is deserved. Your challenges are preparing you. Your blessings are multiplying. And through it all, in every moment, whether you can see it clearly or not, you are being guided by a divine intelligence that loves you beyond measure and wants nothing more than to see you thrive, to see you grow, to see you become everything you are meant to be. Trust that. Believe that. Live from that truth, and your life will never be the same. This is not just inspiration. This is not just motivation. This is truth. And when you align with this truth, when you live from this truth, everything changes. Everything, starting right now.
You've been waiting for this moment your entire life, whether you knew it or not. Right now, in this very instant, something magnificent is unfolding within you. The universe has been preparing you, shaping you, molding you through every experience, every heartbreak, every triumph, and every seeming failure. Nothing has been random. Nothing has been wasted. Every single step you've taken has led you to this precious moment of awakening. There's a reason you're hearing these words right now. There's a reason your heart is stirring with recognition. You are among those who have been called, chosen not by some distant deity looking down from the clouds, but chosen by the very force of creation that flows through you. You are not separate from God. You are not apart from the divine intelligence that orchestrates the entire cosmos. You are an expression of it, a unique and irreplaceable manifestation of infinite possibility. For too long, you've been told that you're small, that you're limited, that you're unworthy. You've been conditioned to believe that you need to seek approval from outside yourself, that your value comes from what others think of you, from the job you hold, from the size of your bank account, from the achievements you can display like trophies on a shelf. But today, right now, those old beliefs are crumbling. They're falling away like old skin that no longer fits the magnificent being you're becoming. The truth that's been waiting to reveal itself to you is this: you are enough. You have always been enough. You were born enough. Before you accomplished a single thing, before you proved yourself to anyone, before you earned your first dollar or received your first praise, you were already complete, already whole, already worthy of every good thing this universe has to offer. But being chosen doesn't mean you're better than anyone else. It doesn't mean you're above others or more special in a way that diminishes another person's light. Being chosen simply means you've awakened to the truth of who you really are. It means you've stopped playing the game of pretending to be less than you are. It means you finally said yes to your own magnificence, to your own divine nature, to the calling that's been whispering to you in the quiet moments of your life. You see, God has been speaking to you all along, not through thunderbolts or burning bushes, though those dramatic moments certainly have their place in our collective stories. No, the divine has been speaking to you through your desires, through your dreams, through that persistent feeling that there's something more, something bigger that you're meant to do, meant to be, meant to experience. Every time you felt that longing for something greater, that was God calling you home to yourself. And here's what you need to understand about this calling. It's not asking you to become someone you're not. It's not demanding that you twist yourself into some unnatural shape to fit someone else's idea of what spiritual or successful or worthy looks like. The calling is asking you to peel away everything that isn't truly you. It's asking you to remove the masks, to drop the pretense, to stop performing for an audience that doesn't matter. You've spent so much energy trying to be what others expected. Your parents had their ideas about who you should be, what you should study, what career you should pursue, who you should marry, how you should live. Your teachers had their expectations, your friends had their opinions, society had its rules and regulations about the proper way to live a life, and somewhere along the way, you forgot to ask the most important question: what do I want? Who am I when nobody's watching? What makes my soul sing? The moment you start asking these questions, everything changes, because these questions reconnect you with your source, with that infinite intelligence that brought you into being. And when you're connected to your source, when you're aligned with your true nature, you become unstoppable. Not in an aggressive, forceful way, but in the way that water is unstoppable. Water doesn't fight, water doesn't struggle, water simply flows, and in its flowing, it shapes mountains, carves canyons, nourishes all life. That's the kind of power you have access to when you align with who you really are. But alignment requires something from you. It requires that you become honest, brutally honest with yourself. You can no longer afford to lie to yourself about what you're feeling, about what you want, about what's working and what isn't. You can no longer pretend that you're happy in that job that drains your life force. You can no longer act as if that relationship that demeans you is somehow acceptable. You can no longer convince yourself that settling for less than your dreams is being realistic. Realism, as most people define it, is just a fancy word for giving up. It's a way of justifying the choice to stop growing, to stop reaching, to stop believing in the impossible. But you weren't put on this earth to be realistic. You were put here to be magical, to be miraculous, to demonstrate what's possible when a human being decides to live in alignment with infinite possibility rather than finite limitation. Now, I know what your mind is doing right now. It's starting to whisper those old familiar doubts. Who am I to think I'm special? Who am I to believe I'm chosen? Who am I to claim I deserve more? And here's what you need to say back to that voice. Who am I not to? Who am I to play small when the very force that created galaxies lives inside me? Who am I to hide my light when the world is desperate for people who are willing to shine? Your playing small doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't make others feel better about themselves. It doesn't make you more humble or more spiritual. It just robs the world of your unique gifts, your unique perspective, your unique contribution. And make no mistake, you have something to contribute that no one else can. There is something you can do, something you can create, something you can express that only you, in your absolute uniqueness, can bring into existence. God didn't make duplicates. God made originals. You're not here to be a copy of someone else, no matter how successful or enlightened or perfect they might seem. You're here to be the first and only version of you that will ever exist. That's your purpose. That's your mission. To be so completely, unapologetically yourself that your very presence gives others permission to do the same. But here's where most people get stuck. They wait. They wait for permission. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait until they feel ready, until they have more money, more time, more knowledge, more confidence. They wait until the conditions are just right. And while they're waiting, life is passing them by. While they're waiting, their dreams are withering. While they're waiting, the world is missing out on their gifts. There is no perfect time. There is only now. This moment is all you ever have. The future is just an idea, a concept, a story you tell yourself. The past is gone, dissolved into the infinite ocean of what was. All your power, all your creative ability, all your divine potential exists right here, right now, in this eternal present moment. And when you fully show up in this moment, when you bring all of yourself to what's right in front of you, Miracles happen. Miracles aren't violations of natural law. Miracles are what happen when you align yourself with the highest laws of the universe. When you align with love instead of fear, with abundance instead of scarcity, with possibility instead of limitation, you begin to experience what seems miraculous from the perspective of the old limited way of seeing. But from the perspective of your true nature, miracles are simply the natural result of being who you really are. And who you really are is so much more than this body, so much more than this personality, so much more than this story you've been telling yourself about your life. You are consciousness itself, experiencing itself through this unique form. You are the universe looking at itself through your eyes. You are God in human disguise, and the disguise has become so convincing that you forgot who you are underneath the costume. But the forgetting was part of the plan. You had to forget so you could remember. You had to lose yourself so you could find yourself. You had to go through the darkness so you could truly appreciate the light. Every struggle you've faced, every obstacle you've overcome, every dark night of the soul you've endured, it was all preparing you for this moment of recognition, this moment of remembering, this moment of coming home to your true self. And now that you're remembering, now that you're waking up, you have a responsibility. Not a burden, but a joyful responsibility. You have a responsibility to live from this awareness, to act from this knowing, to make choices based on who you really are rather than who you've been pretending to be. This means you might have to make some changes. You might have to let go of relationships that no longer align with your truth. You might have to leave situations that were comfortable but stifling. You might have to disappoint some people who've grown accustomed to the smaller version of you. And yes, this might be uncomfortable. Change always is. But discomfort is not the same as wrong. Sometimes the most uncomfortable choices are the ones that lead to the most extraordinary transformations. Think about the caterpillar in the cocoon. If you could ask it what it was feeling during that transformation, I guarantee it wouldn't describe the experience as comfortable. The caterpillar literally dissolves. Its entire body breaks down into a kind of cellular soup before reorganizing into something completely new. That's intense. That's uncomfortable. But would you tell the caterpillar not to go through that process? Would you say it should stay comfortable and remain a caterpillar forever? Of course not. Because you know that on the other side of that discomfort is the ability to fly. You're in your cocoon right now. You might not see it yet, but you're dissolving. The old you is breaking down and something new, something magnificent, something with wings is forming. Don't resist the process. Don't judge yourself for the discomfort. Don't think something's wrong because it doesn't feel easy. Transformation is rarely easy, but it's always worth it. And here's something beautiful about this process. You don't have to do it alone. You're not isolated. You're not separate. You're part of an interconnected web of consciousness that includes every being who has ever lived, who is living now, and who will ever live. You have access to infinite wisdom, infinite guidance, infinite support. All you have to do is ask. All you have to do is open yourself to receive. But asking requires humility. It requires you to admit that you don't have all the answers, that you can't figure everything out with your rational mind alone, that you need help from something greater than your limited ego self. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's strength. The strongest people are the ones who know when to ask for help, who understand that independence is an illusion and that we're all fundamentally interdependent. So ask. Ask for guidance. Ask for clarity. Ask for strength. Ask for courage. Ask for whatever you need. And then pay attention. Because the answers will come, though not always in the form you expect. The guidance might come through a conversation with a stranger, through a book that falls off the shelf at just the right moment, through a dream, through a feeling, through a knowing that arises from somewhere beyond your thinking mind. The universe is always speaking to you, always guiding you, always supporting you, but you have to tune in to the right frequency. You have to quiet the noise of the world, the constant chatter of your mind, the endless stream of distractions that keep you from hearing the still small voice within. That voice is always there, always available, always pointing you toward your highest good. And your highest good is not what your ego thinks it should be. Your ego wants security, comfort, approval, control. Those aren't bad things, but they're not your highest good. Your highest good is growth, expansion, the full expression of your divine potential. Your highest good is becoming more of who you really are, shedding more of who you're not, aligning more completely with love, with truth, with the infinite creative intelligence that animates all of existence. This alignment is what people mean when they talk about being in the flow, being in the zone, being in the sweet spot. When you're aligned, everything feels easier, not because life stops presenting challenges, but because you stop resisting. You stop fighting against what is. You stop trying to force things to be different than they are. You accept what is, and from that acceptance, you create what can be. Acceptance is not resignation. Acceptance is not giving up. Acceptance is seeing clearly without the distortion of judgment or resistance. When you see clearly, you can respond appropriately. When you see clearly, you make wise choices. When you see clearly, you access a power that's not available to you when you're caught up in resistance and judgment. And part of seeing clearly is recognizing that everything is happening for you, not to you. Every experience, even the painful ones, even the ones you wouldn't have chosen, is serving your growth, serving your evolution, serving your awakening. There are no accidents. There are no mistakes. There's only a divine intelligence orchestrating everything in a way that serves the highest good of all, even when you can't see the bigger picture, even when it doesn't make sense to your limited perspective. This is where trust comes in. Trust is the foundation of a spiritual life. Trust is what allows you to let go of control, to stop micromanaging every detail, to stop trying to figure everything out before you take the next step. Trust is what allows you to walk forward in faith, knowing that you're being guided, knowing that you're being supported, knowing that even when you can't see the path ahead, the path is there. But trust doesn't mean being passive. Trust doesn't mean sitting around waiting for life to happen to you. Trust is active. Trust is engaged. Trust says, I'll do everything I can, and then I'll trust the universe to do what I cannot. Trust says, I'll take the next step without knowing exactly where it leads, because I know I'm being guided. Trust says, I'll follow my intuition even when it doesn't make logical sense, because there's an intelligence working through me that's greater than my rational mind. Your intuition is God speaking through you. Your intuition is that knowing that comes from beyond your thinking, that guidance that arises from your connection to Source. And the more you honor your intuition, the more you follow those subtle promptings, the stronger that connection becomes. The more you ignore your intuition, the more you override that inner wisdom with your rational analysis or your fear-based thinking, the weaker that connection becomes. So start listening. Start paying attention to what feels right, to what feels aligned, to what feels true. Your body knows. Your heart knows. There's a wisdom in you that's beyond words, beyond logic, beyond anything your mind can comprehend. And when you learn to access that wisdom, when you learn to live from that place, you become a conduit for miracles. You become a force for good in the world. You become an example of what's possible when a human being lives in full alignment with their divine nature. And as you step into this alignment, as you claim your place among the chosen ones, you'll notice something interesting happening. The people around you will start to change. Not because you're trying to change them, but because your energy is different. When you change, the world around you changes. When you raise your vibration, everything that's not a match for that new vibration has to fall away or transform. Some people will be inspired by your transformation. They'll want to know what's different about you. They'll want to experience what you're experiencing. These are the people who are ready for their own awakening, and you'll become a catalyst for their transformation. You don't have to preach. You don't have to convince. You just have to be. Your presence, your energy, your way of moving through the world will be the teaching. Other people will resist your transformation. They'll try to pull you back into the old patterns, the old ways of being. They'll make you feel guilty for changing. They'll accuse you of thinking you're better than them. They'll do everything they can to keep you small because your growth threatens their comfort, and you have to let them go. Not with anger, not with judgment, but with love and compassion, knowing that they're not ready yet, knowing that they're still learning what they need to learn, knowing that their path is their own, and it's not your job to save them or fix them or make them see what they're not ready to see. Your only job is to be true to yourself. Your only job is to honor your own path, your own truth, your own calling. When you do that, when you live in integrity with who you really are, you give others permission to do the same. You become a light that helps guide others home to themselves. Not by telling them what to do, not by imposing your beliefs on them, but simply by showing them what's possible, by demonstrating what happens when someone has the courage to be themselves. And courage is exactly what it takes. It takes courage to stand in your truth when everyone around you is living in illusion. It takes courage to follow your heart when logic is screaming at you to play it safe. It takes courage to believe in yourself when you've been told your whole life that you're not enough. It takes courage to step into your power when you've been conditioned to believe that power is something to be feared, or that claiming your power makes you selfish or arrogant. But real power isn't about dominating others. Real power isn't about getting your way at someone else's expense. Real power is the ability to remain centered in your truth, regardless of what's happening around you. Real power is the capacity to choose love over fear again and again and again, even when fear seems like the more rational choice. Real power is knowing who you are so completely that nothing external can shake your foundation. This is the power you're being called to claim. This is the inheritance that's been waiting for you. You are not here to be a victim of circumstance. You are not here to be tossed around by the winds of fate. You are here to be a conscious creator, to be a deliberate manifester of your reality, to be an active participant in the unfolding of your destiny. And manifestation isn't some magical thinking where you just visualize what you want and it appears out of thin air. Manifestation is the natural result of alignment. When you align your thoughts with your desires, when you align your beliefs with your dreams, when you align your actions with your vision, the universe has no choice but to reflect that alignment back to you. You become a magnet for the experiences, the people, the opportunities that match your vibration. But if you're vibrating at the frequency of lack, if you're constantly thinking about what you don't have, what's wrong, what's missing, you'll keep attracting more of that. If you're vibrating at the frequency of unworthiness, if you believe you don't deserve good things, the universe will mirror that belief right back to you. Your external reality is always a perfect reflection of your internal state. Always, without exception. So if you want to change your life, change your mind. Change what you believe about yourself. Change what you believe is possible. Change the story you're telling yourself about who you are and what you can do and what you deserve. Because the story you tell yourself becomes the life you live. If you tell yourself you're stuck, you'll be stuck. If you tell yourself you're limited, you'll be limited. If you tell yourself you're unworthy, you'll experience unworthiness. But if you tell yourself you're powerful beyond measure, if you tell yourself you're a beloved child of the universe, if you tell yourself you're here for a sacred purpose, everything changes. Everything. The same circumstances that once felt like obstacles become opportunities. The same challenges that once felt overwhelming become exciting adventures. The same life that once felt meaningless becomes rich with significance and purpose. This shift in perspective is what spiritual teachers have been pointing to for thousands of years. It's what they mean when they talk about enlightenment, about awakening, about salvation. It's not about going somewhere else. It's not about becoming someone different. It's about seeing clearly what's already true, about recognizing what's been here all along, about waking up from the dream of separation and limitation. You are not separate from God. You are not separate from anyone or anything. Separation is the illusion. Unity is the truth. At the deepest level of reality, we are all one. We are all connected. We are all expressions of the same infinite consciousness experiencing itself in different forms. When you hurt another, you hurt yourself. When you love another, you love yourself. There is no other. There is only the one appearing as the many. And when you live from this awareness of unity, when you see the divine in every person you meet, when you recognize that every situation is serving your growth, when you understand that you are both the creator and the created, life becomes a sacred adventure. Life becomes a love affair between you and the universe. Life becomes an opportunity to express the infinite in finite form, to bring heaven to earth, to make the invisible visible. This is what you were born to do. This is why you're here. Not to accumulate more stuff, not to achieve more success, not to prove your worth to anyone. You're here to remember who you are and to live from that remembrance. You're here to be a clear channel for divine love, divine creativity, divine intelligence to flow through. You're here to add your unique note to the cosmic symphony, to paint your unique color on the canvas of existence, to contribute your verse to the poetry of life. And your verse matters. Your contribution matters. You matter. Not because of what you do or what you achieve or what you accomplish, but because you exist. Your existence is not an accident. Your life is not meaningless. You are a necessary part of the whole. The universe would be incomplete without you. God would be incomplete without you, because you are not separate from God. You are God in expression, God in action, God experiencing itself through this unique form called you. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to be who you are. The permission you've been waiting for can only come from you. The readiness you've been seeking will never come, because you're as ready now as you'll ever be. The approval you've been craving is available right now from the only source that truly matters, yourself. Approve of yourself. Accept yourself, love yourself, not in some narcissistic, self-absorbed way, but in a deep, profound recognition of your divine nature. Love yourself the way God loves you, unconditionally, completely, without reservation. And from that foundation of self-love, everything else flows naturally. From that foundation, you can love others without needing anything from them. From that foundation, you can give freely without expecting anything in return. From that foundation, you can live with an open heart, knowing that even if you get hurt, you have the resilience to heal, the wisdom to learn, the courage to try again. This is the message that's been waiting to be delivered to you. This is what God has been trying to tell you through every experience, every relationship, every challenge, every triumph. You are loved. You are worthy. You are enough. You are powerful. You are here for a reason, and that reason is simply to be yourself, to express yourself, to enjoy yourself, to love yourself, and to extend that love to everyone you meet. The waiting is over. The preparation is complete. The moment is now. You are ready. You have always been ready. The chosen one is not someone else. The chosen one is you. It has always been you. It will always be you. There is no one else coming to save you, to fix you, to complete you. You are the one you've been waiting for. You are the answer to your own prayers. You are the hero of your own story. So step into that role. Claim your power. Own your truth. Live your purpose. Be the magnificent being you were created to be. The world is waiting for you. Your life is waiting for you. Your destiny is waiting for you. All you have to do is say yes. Say yes to yourself. Say yes to your dreams. Say yes to the infinite possibility that exists within you and all around you. Say yes to love. Say yes to life. Say yes to the adventure of becoming who you really are. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your awakening. Welcome home.